We find that the national security argument is unanswerable. You go in to deal with a congressman, a senator, you make the national security argument, and you say, and the only answer is, yeah, but it's difficult, and this lobby from Company X was here an hour ago, and they told us it'll cost them money. That's basically the way almost all of our conversations go. So we're in a powerful position, and I think we have a good group that can make the national security argument. We've had great success with it, and we find a great deal of resonance in the on Capitol Hill. It really is a case of beating down the special interests one at a time. I've had some rich discussions with car manufacturers in which they talk about consumer choice, and I talk about dead and dying soldiers and Marines in the Middle East, and how do you figure that into the price of your car? And so we get beyond that pretty quickly. So we have an unanswerable argument. It's really a case of working through the entrenched special interest groups who have a big stake in the current system, who will have to change, potentially lose money. And it is the existing groups that are always the most powerful in Washington. It is no one quite realizes that all of those was a group with potential that wasn't part of the system when they first got started, and our job is to keep things moving so people like Shai and others can form the new companies that will provide the jobs, make the money, and provide the security that we need. So we're working our way through that now. So what about the future? Over the course of the last few months, we've run the numbers again to determine what should be done and what can be done. And in about 2 weeks, we'll be coming out with our updated report from the one that we issued December of 2006 that we've had some luck implementing a pretty good major part of. The math has not changed that much. The oil that we import, the dependence on overseas areas, the bad things it does for us, the key role of the transportation sector, which consumes 70% of that of all of the oil that we use in this country. Oil fields have not moved yet, so we still have a fuel efficiency component. As you know, the bill that we now have mandates a 35 mile per gallon fleet standard by 2020, which is certainly well within the realm of current technology, not even factoring in hybrids and the electric cars that you all are talking about. We want to extend that goal, take it down further, not lose momentum the way we did in the late 1980s when we sort of we almost broke our arms patting ourselves on the back, lost focus, and started going the wrong direction. So we want to extend that 2020 time another 4% more or less per year by 2030. Keep the momentum going, and keep that key component alive. We want to continue to emphasize domestic production and the importance of that. It's true that it's not going to solve the entire problem. We can't drill our way out of this problem. It's also true that 2 or 3 million more barrels per day produced in this country makes a difference, and we should be adding that to the difference that we can make from the other components of a comprehensive program in order to reduce this oil intensity, which is so important to us. So you will find us continuing to push for opening up more areas for domestic production, but again, emphasize doing it safely, as we know how to do, and having a good, tough regulatory inspection regime, as we do in other dangerous activities that can potentially harm the greater good or the environment, and keep that component of our policy going as well. And then, and Steve mentioned it, new for us in a recommendation will be the electrification of the transportation grid. All the things that you all have been talking about yesterday and today that I've heard part of, we will be pushing to help create the congressional and presidential executive branch climate so that those sorts of things can can happen. The figures, of course, are breathtaking in terms of the substitution that could be done. It's wonderful to hear people who are actively involved in it. When you sort of take a step back from the policy to the policy point of view, you're worried about creating the right environment. You're worried about speed. You're worried about not overdriving so that you jeopardize the good things that can be done by reaching all the way for what could be done if you really were able to, if politics were no bar, which it always is. So you will find us advocating smarter government R&D expenditures and management. I think it's been a lesson to all of us, the just terrible job of managing the carbon sequestration research and development that has been done. Here is something that is widely acknowledged as the key to cleaning up the coal electrical generation. It would make a huge difference. A bunch of money put into it by the Department of Energy. Pork barrel politics taken over, so a number of small projects being done throughout the country. When these projects run into problems, as they always do, one of them needed to be chosen to put some more money into to see if you could really do it. Wasn't possible due to the R&D management structure that we had. And right now, we really don't know if we can sequester carbon on an economical, widespread scale that we would have to do to make the difference that needs to be done or not. Back to the drawing board. We've got to do a better job of managing the research and development federal dollars that we put in, and we've got to do the same in our investments in electrifying the transportation grid. There will be no end of brilliant people with brilliant ideas. The key is seeding the money to determine which one is the right one. Once you figure that out, putting enough money in that can become commercially viable, and then making the transition. And that has to be done by smart people who can deal with the politics but can get the right thing done. So a good research and development management structure is going to be key to doing this. The the electrical infrastructure grid itself, as those of us who have been close to the Northeast have learned, is no thing of beauty itself. And when you talk to some of the grid operators and you hear about some of the things that almost happened but didn't quite, it really curls your hair. There's no use trading one set of dependencies for another set of dependencies. If a terrorist can blow up the big Saudi oil loading facility and get at us that way, we don't want just to transfer his target to some electrical grid that he can get into through a service port in a key New England utility and take us down that way. So we need a more robust energy grid if we are to put a big weight of our transportation sector on it, and it's a good idea to do anyhow. So we will be putting our shoulder to the wheel of electrifying the transportation sector, but I think you will see us in the Securing America's Future Energy continue to push a comprehensive program because of the timelines and the scale and the comprehensiveness of it. Our analysis leads us to believe that electrifying the transportation sector is something that will probably, if we do it well and do it practically and put a pretty big effort on it, is something that will fare into these other initiatives by raising oil-fired car efficiency standards, by increasing domestic production, and we're talking about something that by, not 2030, but maybe 2050 can get our energy intensity down to those really low levels in which we have a tremendous, in which importing petroleum products from foreign places just is not a factor of the salience that it is now, does not drive us to the unnatural acts in the national security arena that we've already had to do and that we could do much worse in the future.